Hello, Sag. Happy day. Grandest of all risings today. We are going to do your monthly reading for October. Excuse my little blanket I got hanging up here. I came up to my office and it was like cold in here, so I'm just waiting for it to warm up some. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. We're going to read the monthly for October. Um, I'm excited to see, what is the message going to be for you. Um, Everything might not resonate. That's completely fine. There's so many different planets in each of our charts that if other planets are dominant or other signs are dominant, sometimes they won't resonate. These readings do work for sun, moon, and rising. If you have no knowledge of where those planets lie for you or where those lay, I just would maybe get on like Astrolab and get a free birth chart and, just try to, the reason that I really love astrology is because when I was younger and I could not manage my emotions and I could not manage my feelings, I just didn't know who I was. I did not understand myself. And it wasn't until I started reading astrology that I understood, okay, I'm a Cancer. And when I was reading it, it was just like, wow, this is why this is this way. And then I grew more into it. Now, I will say one thing. People tend to think that if you believe in astrology, you cannot believe in God. That is a lie. It's the biggest lie. When you know that God is the center of everything, and when you trust that God is at the center of everything, He knows us and He knows our hearts. So He knows that when you believe in Him and you trust Him, He knows that when He gives you personal guidance, when He puts His hand in your life personally and speaks to you personally, you know that you can trust that He shows you. He's just kind of one of those gods. He holds you accountable, and He loves, for His children to be loved, to hold accountable. And that if you're wrong in anything, He will deter you and He will get you right. So yeah, that's a little bit of why, I love astrology, and it might confuse some people because you'll hear me say God this, and then people will tell you, oh, well, since people love to tell you what you can't do and who you aren't. I'm just more of a like, if God has a problem, He'll speak to me directly. So let's get into it. I'm going to go ahead and pull 6 cards. The reason that I pull 6 cards is 6 is symbolic. 6 means that you need to get in touch with your higher self. The higher self is the part of us connected to God. We are not gods, but we are made in His image. So because we are made in His image, we are an extension of Him. So we are still very much connected to Him. It's just a matter of whether we decide to cut ourselves off from Him, or whether we decide to know that we're always attached to Him. It's just, it's all about that. We go through the waves in life, but so just to get into it a little bit, the higher self, I like to put the higher self at about 3 years old. The reason I put the higher self at 3 years old is because when we're 3, we are the truest to ourselves that we're going to be. That is our inner G. That is the part of us connected to God. In order to get into heaven, you have to be like the child. The child is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven. So you can do all the preaching and everything you want to, but no matter what you come to, if you can't get that childlike heart, if you can't get that childlike innocence, if you can't get that childlike forgiveness, you can forget about it. God's calling a lot of us back home. He's starting to get that crew together for the battle that's going to take place, the spiritual battle that's going to take place. And in order to do that, He needs us to be in our true state. He needs us to be able to communicate. So 6 is spending time with the higher self, and not even that, spending time with the childlike part of you, the 3-year-old in us. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, I do have a video that talks about what the inner child is, how to get in contact with the 3-year-old, and how the 3-year-old helps us as parents. If there are any questions, you can always leave something in the comments, and I'll try my best to get back to them. So the first deck I use is the Light Seers deck. It's a very light energy deck. It is a a. 'Cause, 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 It's a tarot deck. Now, I'm not very familiar with the tarot, but I use them as far as just the intuitive portion. I'm an intuitive reader. It's a little bit different than a card reader. An intuitive reader can read anything. I can read numbers. I can read colors. Anything that can be read, I can read it. Facials, expressions, emotions, body language, you name it, I can read it. So I just call myself an intuitive reader. Now, when I get my decks, I go about the way that I feel as far as my decks, as far as the energy on the decks. Everything is energy. Don't let anyone ever persuade you from that, okay? Everything is. Everything is made of something. God made everything. God made energy. He made everything. A lot of people like to try to work it against the grain, but everything is connected. So it's just like, you know, yeah. When you're intuitive, I guess you just pick up on things. I guess you just pick up on the things that, you know, you don't need to read a book to understand. Just the things that just make sense. Okay. One more card, Saggy. Oop, that one flew up the deck. Okay. That one's upside down. All right. It's looking juicy. It's looking positive for you. It's looking positive for the space that we're in right now, okay? And then at the end, I'm going to go ahead and pull a Jesus card. Now, I'm going to go ahead and get clear on this with a lot of people because I feel like it's just high time that we talk more about this. Jesus' name is actually Yeshua. It's not really Jesus. It's Yeshua. How they even came up with that or where that even came from, I am not sure. But it's all something that we can learn and we can all find together. I find myself, you know, spread thin and kind of researching like 50,000 things at once. So, you know, my grandma, she actually went to a school where she studied the Bible and she studied Hebrew and she can actually write in Hebrew and speak Hebrew. And one of the things that came up in her studies, and I mean, you can find the information anywhere, is that Jesus' name actually was Yeshua, which is closer to like Joshua, but more like Yahshua. Okay.